killed my... Okay, I need like a lint roller maybe. Who killed my Traeger apron? Why? Why do you hate me?
I mean, yeah, I did it.
Alright, so made a recipe the other day for homemade eggnog. And it was really good. Like I love eggnog, and it was outrageous. We pretty much decided on Southern Comfort eggnog as being like the best store-bought eggnog. This eggnog it's even better than that. I mean, it's really, really good. Despite my apron has nothing to do with Traeger, sadly, no Traegering the eggnog. Maybe we'll think about that. Come up with a way. This is not our recipe, so obviously we'll give credit where credit is due. We'll link to the website that we got the recipe from. I think it's Better From Scratch, I think is what it's called, and what have you. So, but it's a really simple recipe, not a lot in the way of ingredients. Basically, you've got eggs, and then you've got heavy whipping cream and milk, and you've got sugar. See the sugar? Kind of, a little bit. Okay. And then you've got vanilla and nutmeg. Good news on the vanilla front, by the way. Vanilla has been outrageously expensive of late, and it's coming down in price again. So it almost hit $40 for one of these things at Costco, and it used to be like $6, and it's finally down to $22 or something. So it's still really expensive, but it is not as insane as it was. So that's good news. Okay, so first thing you got to do with this recipe for homemade eggnog is you've got to separate the eggs. So eggs, obviously, unless you buy them that way, do not come pre-separated. They come as eggs, right? So I joked with the kids that we should play The Offspring's got to keep them separated while we're separating eggs. I don't know that we'll actually do that, but it would make the separating of the eggs slightly more entertaining.
Are you gonna use the water bottle?
I'm not going to use the water bottle. The kids saw Maury Elizabeth maybe some of you know who that is, did a thing where she used a water bottle to separate eggs. It looked very cool. I'm down. That's awesome, but I'm not going to do that. No, just no. So I will show you my very rudimentary egg separation technique. It's not impressive, but I will demonstrate. Anyway, the separated egg yolks, though, when they're done, the egg yolks are going over here into the KitchenAid. Okay, so that's the game plan for the separated egg yolks. Nothing too exciting for their future. Was it already empty, or did you empty it out?
A magician never reveals her secrets.
Okay, let's see if it works. It's not near the surface, so I'm kind of worried it's not going to work.
You have to crumple it up first.
Yeah, I know. All right, so that was a bit of an adventure with the egg yolks. It is every time for me. Just not a pro like that just yet. So we've got the sugar and the egg yolks in the KitchenAid. Gonna turn that on for a minute. Get it whisked up till it's a little bit light and fluffy. So when that's done, and actually even meanwhile, you can set a pot to a little saucepan, medium-sized saucepan, I would say, to medium heat, and you put in the milk and the heavy whipping cream. Heavy whipping cream really is wonderful. Sad they can't just, consume it all the time. It'd be anyway. So with the heavy whipping cream and the milk, we will go ahead and add in the nutmeg, half a teaspoon. And this is up to you, by the way. I actually kind of question adding the nutmeg to the actual eggnog. I feel like you could add the nutmeg after the fact, and you wouldn't have the nutmeg kind of in there with everything else. But each to his own. So if that's something you want to try, feel free. Pinch of salt. Do that. And basically what we're looking for with that is just the bare beginning of a simmer. So as it just sort of begins to simmer, it's ready to go. And then at that point, you're going to be combining it with the egg yolks and the sugar that you have in the KitchenAid. So we're getting the milk combination, nutmeg combination to a bare simmer here. And so at this point, this is when we would go ahead and add it to the egg mixture in the bowl. Now, I'm probably overcomplicating this. There's probably a simpler way to do it. What I did was I actually moved it over. I didn't want to use this huge burner for the simmer because it'd be a little overkill. This is a hotter, bigger burner than this one is. This is a little better for a saucepan this size. But I moved it over next to the KitchenAid, and then I used a ladle to move the mixture over, one ladleful at a time, and mix it in. Maybe there's a better way to do it. I mean, you could dump a little bit in, maybe. I feel like that would be really messy. I'm sure there's different ways of going about this. In the original recipe, they said to just use a big spoon, which I thought of ladle. And so I'm going to do it the way that I've done it before. If you can come up with a better way, more power to you.
Don't die.
Right? Because this is a bigger burner, I'll turn it on pretty low, just to keep the milk at a nice room temperature. Okay, so we'll start with our first spoonful in here. I already spilled some on the outside of the KitchenAid, so that's never a good sign. I actually didn't do that last time. Get that mixed in. Now add another spoonful. Okay, so then once I've got it all into the KitchenAid here, I'm going to go ahead and take it out. We'll remove this so that it doesn't drip everywhere when we get the bowl out of there. Put it in the sink. And then this mixture just goes right into the pot, eggs and all. And all we're going to do with that is bring it, heat it a little bit, basically over medium-high heat for a couple of minutes until it reaches a temperature of 160 degrees, which is not terribly hot from a cooking point of view. And so for me, I use my, it's not in the drawer, it's actually over here because I put it on the counter already. Use my Thermopen to check the temperature of it, which is typically used for grilling, but is great for checking temperatures on pretty much anything. And while it's warming up, we'll whisk. Pretty much constantly. Only takes a couple of minutes. It's already pretty hot, so it really doesn't take it very long to get to the heat that you're looking for. In fact, I'll check it now and see where it's at. It's already there, 165. It does not take long. Give it a little whisk here. Turn off the heat. And the last thing we'll do is we'll whisk in a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. I almost always have a little bit of extra vanilla that goes into the pot. That doesn't bother me at all. I like vanilla. Everybody like vanilla? Who doesn't like vanilla? Chelsea, you like vanilla?
I love vanilla.
Chelsea's over there. You can't see her. The kombucha, by the way, was hers, not mine.
I love almond extract more though.
Almond extract is pretty great. Okay, so then basically it goes in the fridge, and it goes in the fridge to chill. Now, when we did this last time, it took quite a while to chill. I would say it took overnight to get a good chill on it, and it thickened up quite a bit, and it actually got a lot smaller. So when I first poured it in here, it didn't actually all fit. I actually had to put a little bit in an additional cup that I put in the fridge. But once it sat in the fridge overnight, it came down to about here. So just the condensing and the thickening of the liquid brings the amount down. So you're not getting a ton out of this. This is a, was this a quart? This is a quart. And so you're not even getting, it's maybe a quart, like right around that. If you don't have a funnel that you use in the kitchen, you should get one. I use a funnel for a lot of things. Kitchen funnel. Not the same funnels that I use in the garage for oil and things of that nature. Just, for clarity. Not a good idea to do it that way. Okay, so here's the fun part where we see if I can pour this through the funnel without making a gigantic mess. Made a mess last time. Not a gigantic mess, but a mess. Let the foam die down a little bit. Oof. And then whatever's left over, I'll put in a little cup or something that I can just stick in the fridge. And of course, that will end up cooling a lot faster than this. Now, there maybe is an argument to be made for not pouring hot liquids into glass jars and then immediately putting them in the fridge. I'm gonna leave that up to you. I happen to know that this particular jar can take it because we've done it before. These are not extreme temperatures, right? This is not a boiling liquid that I'm putting in here. And it's not going into the freezer. I would definitely not recommend doing that. You will end up with a broken container. But as far as this goes, you've got a liquid that's at kind of a moderate temperature, about 160 degrees. It's going into a fridge at 35 degrees. And it's a well-built glass container. It's an old milk container. And I think it can handle it. But I wouldn't go too far beyond that. I wouldn't push your luck with anything that's too hot or too cold. And so there's your homemade eggnog. And after it's sat in the fridge a little bit and thickened, it is pretty darn tasty. And here it is. It's been sitting in the fridge. In this case, it's actually been in the fridge for 2 nights, just because that's just the way it went down. And you can see it's come down quite a bit. It's a little bit thicker on top, which is great. Kind of exactly what we want. So let's pour a little bit into a glass and see how it is, shall we? Okay, so see if I can do all this with one hand. This is the entertaining part. That's where a tripod would come in handy. So you can see it's got a nice thick consistency to it. It's already got, as we mentioned earlier, it's got the nutmeg in there. So you don't necessarily have to add any additional spices. You could put some additional nutmeg on or some cinnamon if that's what you felt like doing. Certainly you could do that. Here it is. Cheers. Yeah, it's pretty tasty.